Our aviation consultant, Stephen Ganyard in Washington. Stephen, we just heard David say leading theory, some kind of deliberate act or sabotage, although it's one of many theories. But take us inside the cockpit and explain why this points to a kind of sabotage, how difficult it was for these two communication systems to be turned off.
Yeah, there are very different communication systems, George, not only in where they are in the cockpit, the things that they do, but they would have required two deliberate actions. The first one would have involved reaching up over the pilot's shoulder and pulling a circuit breaker. So these circuit breakers are tiny, tiny little things, and writing next to them is very small, so they'd have to know where they were looking, what they were doing, and it would have had to have been very, very deliberate. 14 minutes later, authorities are telling us that they turned off the transponder switch, which would have been on a console very close to the pilot's knees or up by their hands. So these are two different acts, 14 minutes apart, done by somebody who knew how to fly that airplane.
Who really knew what they were doing. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the flight path that we've been speculating on so far, that flight out towards the Straits of Malacca and then moving in a westerly direction over this huge expanse. And of course, once the flight makes that turn, it is pointing towards Europe and the Middle East. We talked about this yesterday. You suggested the idea that it could have landed on a terrorist hotbed like Somalia or Yemen, but it appears that the plane couldn't have gone that far.
That's right. But the fact that it could have flown for 4 or 5 hours after its last known position is still absolutely remarkable. When you look at that radius, that's an amazing search radius. One of the things I think that was interesting that came out this morning is that it was apparently flying along known flight paths. So it was somebody who was still piloting the airplane like they were on a filed flight plan, but they were on a route that would have taken them to Europe or to the Middle East, and as they made the turn over the Strait of Malacca, they were situated right on one of those highways in the sky that would have pointed them toward Europe.
So we're zeroing in now on foul play or sabotage, but at the same time, this gets much more difficult because the search area is so vastly expanded.
You bet. There's an irony here. We know that we can eliminate some of the theories that have been out there, the massive explosions, but now we have this search area that's so large that our search and rescue effort is really almost daunting to even think about.